we've got Doc in here for about 10 minutes or so. Dr. Chmielewski from the Falcon Clinic, which is located in New Hartford, technically in Washington Mills. And you're kind of it's a one-stop. Explain the clinic first. And then if somebody has any questions, if you have any health questions at all for the doctor, 315-736-0186. Good luck, because we all have our own personal questions. We're gonna fire away. But 315-736-0186.
I won't be sending a bill to anybody.
Okay, no, no copays needed here. Okay.
No, basically, the Falcon Clinic for Health, Wellness, and Recovery. It's really something that's a dream that I wanted to have a long time ago. After I finished medical school in Des Moines, I had a general practice there in Ohio, and I was doing general medicine. I was covering the ER. I was seeing patients in the hospital for everything from, pneumonia to meningitis to whatever. And I had patients keep coming to me saying, gee, my back is bothering me, my shoulder, my knee. You're an osteopathic physician. Don't you guys do stuff with bones? And I said, well, we're regular physicians, just like MDs, and we do all that stuff.
Sure.
Yeah, but weren't you trained in all of this stuff too? So, I said, okay. And they kept coming back. And I'd have somebody else with a knee problem. Can you fix this? Yeah, okay. And I kept thinking, some of these muscle relaxants, the pain medicines and all that, while they're justified in short term, they don't really cure anything.
Yeah.
And so I had that in the back of my mind. My problem is, if you will, I kind of got interested in emergency medicine, and I did that for 30 years.
And you were at St. E's, right?
Oh, St. E's for over 10 years. I was director of Little Falls Hospital for about 10 years, associate director of the ER at Rome for about 5 years. I was at Faxton. So I've kind of been all over with that. But then finally, after being involved with crisis management and medicine, multiple car accidents and, a heart attack and all this stroke and everything, I said, maybe I can go back to my roots, to a more gentle kind of a medicine.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to open up the Falcon Clinic for Health, Wellness, and Recovery.
Are we making, as a country, are we making a mistake by it seems like there's a medicine for this problem, which creates problem A, B, and C, so we're going to give you a couple more medicines for that. Are we going down a difficult road here?
Well, it's interesting. I don't want to get into the whole big thing, the whole big enchilada, but basically during World War II and afterwards, we really had great strides in, first of all, antibiotics and then antihypertensive medications that went on to other things. And then in surgery, we started having open heart surgery and then orthopedic surgery and stuff. And they were miracles. They really were.
Right.
But we found out after a while that you don't need a miracle every day, okay?
Right. Yeah.
And what I'm talking about is, first of all, some people are saying we're in the post-antibiotic era. A lot of our antibiotics don't work anymore because we've used too much of them in agriculture and in patients. Anytime you have a headache, antibiotic. Ear infection, antibiotic.
Right.
Stomach bug, antibiotic. Then in surgeries, well, you got a problem with your back. Interestingly, the early surgeries in the 1950s, about 90% of people with disc problems would have a laminectomy or surgery to take your disc out. Nowadays, it's less than 10%. Why the difference? Because we're finding out that a lot of times you can do things more conservatively. You don't have to have all these medicines.
Right.
So now we're in the opioid epidemic. And people were saying, you got back pain or shoulder pain or whatever. We've got to give you antibiotics. Opioids.
Right.
It doesn't cure anything, okay? And in the long run, it makes it even worse. The thing about
because you end up becoming severely dependent upon that medicine.
There are a lot of problems with it. You actually get a hyperalgesic state where if you don't have the stuff, your pain gets even worse. And that's part of the addiction on there.
Yeah.
But the big thing is you don't cure anything. People ask me, what is osteopathic medicine? Osteopathic medicine is 150 years old, came after the Civil War. I think Dr. Still, Andrew Taylor Still, a Civil War surgeon, I joke that he got sick and tired of amputating. But basically, he saw that people actually got better if they did things naturally than going to the doctor at that time.
Right.
At that time, they didn't have germ theory. They didn't understand
Sure.
things. But anyhow, the osteopathic approach is, the first thing is, the body has the propensity to heal itself if you give it time on there. If you change the structure of something, you change its function on there. Think about it. The approach in the osteopathic world is not to just throw medicines, although we do use them.
Right.
Not just to do surgery, although we do that too, okay? But the thing is that we find that the body has its own ability to heal itself, okay? Think about it. with all our surgery, all our medicine, all the miracles, okay, we don't cure anything. Think about it, okay? You say, well, what about cancer drugs? No, you don't cure that. What about the antibiotics for my sore? No, you don't cure anything.
Right.
Your body cures. What happens is you get a certain situation, whether it's cancer drugs or antibiotics there, to get the person in the right situation so that their own body heals. Okay? That is the basic underpinning of what osteopathy is. So in osteopathic medicine, osteon means structure in Greek, and pathos means a derangement or it's not working right. So osteon pathos is the structure of the body ain't working right. So that's why we have the Falcon Clinic for Health, Wellness, and Recovery. The health part, we use medications, whether it's antidepressants. I think I wrote a narcotic prescription a couple of days ago. I don't write it all the time. All right. Antibiotic last week.
Sometimes it's needed, though.
Absolutely. But with all of those things, you have to understand, well, the medicines of today and the surgeries of today, they are miracles. I'll be the first to tell you that. But think about it. You don't need a miracle every day.
Right. Do you, when it comes to the measles outbreak, and people can go to the web, they can go to Facebook, and there's somebody who probably isn't an expert, or maybe they are, saying, don't get these immunizations and all of that, which is, it seems like it's caused an outbreak. Where do you stand on that?
Well, you talked about being an expert. I come from a generation where I did see measles.
Right.
Okay. I did see polio. I did see a lot of meningitis and these different things. You now have the younger generations here who've not been exposed to that.
Right.
So they live in, I don't want to say a fantasy world. They haven't been there.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Whenever you have, whether it's a medicine or if you get a vaccination or whatever, I'll be the first to tell you it's a crapshoot. Okay, whenever you get anything into your body, it's an experiment because you are the research of one person.
Right.
All right. Might you have a reaction to something? Absolutely. But if you look in terms of the community and everything, we don't have the kinds of diseases like we used to have, and we've benefited tremendously from it. I'm a strong advocate of vaccination, and I think a lot of misinformation is out there. This is actually the CDC as well, Center for Disease Control, talking too. That we need to get the word out there. You need to immunize your kids for things. You need to get your own immunization, influenza, et cetera.
Are we making strides when it comes to? Certainly, we've made strides there, and I'm not old enough to know what it was like during the days of polio, but it was really horrible, and it affected everyone. For God's sakes. President of the United States was a victim of polio.
President Roosevelt.
But I for instance, today they want you up and walking. If you have surgery, up and walking immediately.
Right.
Maybe like when I had my surgery, I was told by the doctor, we don't want to put you in it's a colon surgeries, but we don't want to put you into a state where you're dehydrated, where you're going through what you would go through for a colonoscopy, because we feel your body reacts better if you are less dehydrated and if you're up and walking. So are those examples of us moving in the right direction with what you're talking about, where the body is healing? The body's healing itself.
Actually, without even using the word osteopathic, those are osteopathic concepts that go back to the late 19th century with Dr. Still when he opened up his first osteopathic medical school in 1892. He was at a time, like I said, when they just barely were understanding about germ theory. He was talking about exercise, nutrition, the spirituality, or if you will, the mental health of an individual, right? Also, he was talking about the equal rights for men and women. And a lot of other social issues there. And so he was way ahead of his time, So these are osteopathic concepts. The idea is that we have all different kinds of fluids in our system that we have to keep going. When I say fluids, people think about, well, the arteries. Okay. And the veins. Well, okay. But we have a lymphatic system or a drainage system or a sewer system, if you will, that has to be working right. Also cerebrospinal fluid. All of these things, and also our breathing and digestion. All these things have to work together. We are a biological machine. Again, the structure, if you have that, then the function works.
One quick question, and we'll let you go. Paul is on the line right now with a question. Paul, go ahead.
Good morning, Bill. Good morning, Doctor. I wondered, I am a firm believer in vaccinations, but I wondered how often do children that have had the chicken pox vaccination, end up with the shingles. Sam ended up having shingles in her on her face and into the optic nerve.
What are your thoughts on the chickenpox?
I can't give you exact numbers on that, but it's pretty low. Okay.
A bad reaction is low.
Yeah.
Okay.
Those are pretty low. Again, going back to my training on there, when I was in the ER, I would see these different cases. I would see children who had chickenpox pneumonia.
Yeah.
You almost don't see that. And I saw children who had chickenpox encephalitis and meningitis. In other words, brain damage. All right.
Yeah.
Shingles is painful. It's really bad.
Yeah.
Okay. But I will say that those kinds of problems there from immunization are much less.
Okay.
And the problems with the disease itself, including death as well as the brain damage, is definitely worse.
Paul, thanks for the call. Dr. Chmielewski, we appreciate it. We're going to do this again. I'd like to. How do people reach out if they're looking for a physician, looking for something that is a different approach? Maybe what they're doing isn't working right now.
Well, one of the things, they can go to our website, falconclinic.com. It's real simple. And it'll show you the address and where we are. They can go over on top there to where it says more. They can go down to, it's called Falcon Blog, and they'll see a slideshow that it's called Down and Dirty Osteopathy that explains some of the osteopathic manipulation hands-on approach.
Okay.
So we have primary care with Dr. Redner and myself, and we're having Dr. George Kosminski in August joining us for acupuncture. We have massage therapists. We have an excellent counselor for psychological problems. We have a weight loss program. We do treatment of different destructive behaviors such as narcotics addiction treatment and smoking cessation and weight loss.
Smoking.
Yes.
Smoking.
Yes.
All right, Doc. Thanks so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having
do
me.
it again. He's with the Falcon Clinic.